Welcome back to Zion's Redemption Radio Network. I'm your host, Mark Lichten Walter. So today we're going to get into pages 2 and 3, which is part of the preface of Mysteries of Creation. Basically, Brigham Young is talking about how, the mysteries of creation are only for those who seek for them, and that many people do not understand the mysteries of creation even when they have them laid out before them because of the spirit of Babylon the Great that is within them. And that kind of goes along with Isaiah chapter 28, where Isaiah sees the Latter day Saints in the last days and how they are drunk on the spirit of Babylon the Great and how their priests and their prophets are out of the way. This chapter is also talking, or well, that chapter in Isaiah is also talking about how there is one mighty and strong that comes among them, and it even gives a sign for the coming of the one mighty and strong. Waves heaving themselves beyond their bounds, and I personally believe that that when the 2004 tsunami happened on December 26, 2004, where I think, well, it used to be 250,000 people um, were killed in a single day in that, the earthquake and also the tsunami that followed. I believe that that is the sign. Partly because it was just a year and, well, a little over a year and a half after I saw the Father and the Son face to face in the flesh. Of course, I didn't know that I was the one mighty and strong until January of 2013, when the Father commanded me to kneel down before Him and ask Him who I am. I just refused to believe it, even though I had people in my life that believed that I was the one mighty and strong. And it's really interesting because, every time, I've read the scriptures, all of them, over and over and over again, more times than I can remember, and listened to them even more times than that. And I never realized the doctrine of the one mighty and strong that's talked about in Isaiah chapter 28, or in Doctrine and Covenants section 85, where Jesus tells Joseph Smith that he will send one mighty and strong, or one who is mighty and strong, to set the house of God in order. I read it. I never I never even gave it a second thought, you know, until many, many years later. And in 2012, when I finally understood that there would be one mighty and strong to set the house of God in order, um, I didn't think it was me at all. And like I said, I had people in my life who knew my circumstances and the great blessings that God had given to me through His visitation and His the many times when He's taken me up personally and taught me. I didn't know. I didn't know about the work of the Father either. At the all this time reading scriptures and all of that, I just never saw it. And then when I had people in my life, and I didn't really share my experiences very openly. I only shared them with specific people. Um, those people thought that I was the one that was prophesied to come, and I was just like, no way, I'm just a truck driver, yeah, I've had these experiences, but anybody can have these experiences. I just study and I pray, and I just want to know and understand and um, do what God has wanted me to do. So in 2013, the Father came to me and He said, kneel down before me and ask me who you are. And that's when He took me up when I asked, and He showed me who I am, who I was before coming into mortality on this earth, and a vision of the war in heaven, and all of the things that I saw. And um, that's when He revealed to me who I am. It's not speculation on my part. It's not. anything like that. It is the Father finally had the time came for me to find out who I am and why I've had these experiences that I've had in my life ever since the 90s, and even before that as a child, with all of the experiences that I had. And so I do agree that with Brigham Young that, these things are not for everybody. Um, and I understand that as the saints are stuck on the spirit of Babylon the Great, or they're drunk on the spirit of Babylon the Great, they can have these things presented to them in great plainness, and they still will reject them like a like a drunk man will not accept the truth. So, I mean, drunk people, they'll even be like, "Oh, I'm not drunk." So it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. And you know what? Even though they are going through their experiences the way that they're going through them, their lives are still valuable. Every life is valuable, and eventually they'll get to the point where they understand these things, and they'll even get to the point where they accept these things. Um, in mortality, but it may not be the mortality of this earth. So anyway, I am actually just really close to Wilder, Idaho, and I'm going to go deliver there. Then I'm headed back to Price, and I'm going to get reloaded and go back to Boise. So, all right, well, let's get into this reading, and thank you everyone for listening and watching. It'll begin with the summary of these 2 pages, and then it'll go into the reading. So here we go. I'll see you in just a minute.
Pages 2 and 3 of Mysteries of Creation, by Ogden Kraut. In these opening pages, Kraut sets the stage by referencing scriptural and prophetic insights. He begins with a verse from Moses emphasizing that God's works and words are endless. Brigham Young's teachings are invoked to illustrate that every world is created on eternal principles and that many divine mysteries are beyond even the understanding of the most devout saints. The preface continues this theme by emphasizing that learning the mysteries of creation is a lifelong journey. Joseph Smith's words highlight that recognizing God's hand in Scripture leads to both acknowledgement and obedience. Kraut notes that divine things are often misunderstood because most people have adopted worldly perspectives, and this misunderstanding has contributed to ongoing spiritual darkness. Part 1, Pages 2 and 3 of Mysteries of Creation, Pagesby, Ogden Kraut. Page 2. I will show thee the workmanship of mine hands, but not all, for my works are without end, and also my words, for they never cease. Moses chapter 1 verse 4. One of the greatest queries on the minds of the saints is to understand the nature, the principle of the foundation of our existence. Brigham Young, Journal of Discourses Volume 6 page 275. Every world that has been created upon the same principle. They may vary in their varieties, yet the eternity is one. It is one eternal round. These are things that scarcely belong to the best of this congregation. There are items of doctrine, and principles, in the bosom of eternity that the best of the latter-day saints are unworthy to receive. If the visions of their minds were opened to look into the vast creations, and gaze upon the power, and glory, and goodness, and exaltation of the gods, they would exclaim, Woe is me, I am undone. I am of unclean lips. The Teachings of President Brigham Young, Volume 3 pages 353 and 354. Page 3. Preface. Learning the mysteries of creation involves a never-ending search into the unknown. But as man learns precept upon precept, he will grow in wisdom and understanding with a greater respect for his Creator and all creation. The prophet Joseph Smith recognized the power of Creator. He that can mark the power of omnipotence, inscribed upon the heavens, can also see God's own handwriting in the sacred volume, and he who reads it oftenest will like it best, and he who is acquainted with it, will know the hand wherever he can see it, and when once discovered, it will not only receive an acknowledgement, but an obedience to all its heavenly precepts. Teachings of the Prophet Joseph Smith, page 56. It is written that the things of God can be understood only by the Spirit of God, but regrettably most of mankind have acquired only the spirit of the world, so heavenly things are often misunderstood. To increase the difficulty in obtaining a clear concept of God's work and the mission of Christ, there seem to be conflicting statements throughout the Scriptures. Many views and interpretations have been attributed to the Creator of the heavens and the earth. Misunderstanding the Scriptures led mankind into the dark ages, from which we have never apparently recovered, for in this dispensation the Lord said, "Darkness covereth the earth, and gross darkness the minds of the people." Doctrine and Covenants section 112 verse 23,